Hello, ladies and gents, and welcome to episode number 132 of the Ready for Anything podcast. We'll call it the Codcast, right? And we're back in the studio at the Green Rooms, and we're here with the RFA coaches, just talking about opinions, what's happening, what's been going on, and just basically chatting a wee bit of shit. So please enjoy the episode. So, mate, I want to start off with, I asked you and I loved your confidence before it as well. I was like, have you got some good questions? You're like, I'll be honest, I'm just winging it. So I'll be honest, I'm not winging it. I've got some good questions here and some good points I'm going to go into. To be honest, we're going to go down a few different rabbit holes, but I want to firstly ask you, mate, like, in your opinion, why can some people succeed in their career but not in their health?
Oh, that is a good question. I think because there's such a pressure on people in the kind of society we live in to be successful in a career, and it's almost like you have to follow this path of being successful, and people get so sucked down on like, okay, I need to do this for my work, it's my work, and they don't actually stop and look, wait a minute, my health is taking a backseat here. Because even when you're in school and you're younger and stuff, you don't really get that kind of focus on your health. Everything you're doing at school is for your working life. You're not doing it for your health. Yeah, you might do PE or whatever, but PE in school's a piss take. You're not actually learning how to look after yourself properly. You're learning how to make skills for the workplace, how to make skills for a career, how to have a career. Mm-hmm. Or in some cases, some people come out of school and go, I have no idea what I want to do. Mm-hmm. So I think that's potentially why as well. I think it's easy to look at like individual cases and say they're doing it because of this, but I think as a whole, it's because of the way society is, and it's so career driven and output driven.
Yeah, it starts at such a young age, doesn't it? And it's like, I think it's like we often inside of the program will ask people some loaded questions, and I've done a lot of development of this myself, and it's quite an unhinging thing not knowing the answer to these questions, but in a way it's a good thing, right? But why I'm relating this to this is like, as you just said right there, most folk that are encouraging you to do things for your future don't even know what they want to do in the future, or what they want from themselves, or what they want. So typically it's just like job security, which obviously you need money. You need to have you need to get a roof over your head. It's like basic survival human needs, right? If you don't do that, you're going to be in a pretty sticky situation very, very quickly, right? But you're right, mate. It's just what's encouraged from such a young age. And something I actually heard the other day, and I wrote it down for the call that we deliver inside the program on Monday. It's like, how much success do you actually want, and what does that look like? Be careful what you wish for. Because I had a really good chat with one of our clients, Graham, on Wednesday, and we were just talking about like when does it stop? Like, when does it stop? Like, you just keep pushing in certain areas of your life, but a lot of folk are doing it in areas of their life that's actually compromising so many other areas of their life, because they're chasing this sort of hypothetical success, but they're on a rat race with so many other folk, and they don't even know what it is. They don't even know what it is, and then they get it, and a lot of the time they're just sitting here going, is this it?
Yeah.
Is this it?
You're saying there about the rat race. See, if you even win the rat race, you're still a rat.
Exactly.
At the end of the day.
Yeah. No, 100%, man. And it's, you end up just in this point, you're like, what is it? And I think that's what folk need to be so clear on. And we're actually having a conversation with Paul right before this, that owns the studio, and we're just saying, like, sometimes you just need to ask yourself, like, you're sometimes presented with opportunities and situations, and because it seems like that's an amazing opportunity, it doesn't mean that you have to say yeah to it. It doesn't mean that you have to do it. Like, there's that story of I can't remember what it is, but it's the story of the fisherman. Have you heard it before? The businessman speaks to the fisherman.
Yeah. And
it's like basically something along the lines of, don't quote me on it, but it's like basically this businessman sees a fisherman come in every single day with like a haul of fish, like 5 or 6 fish or something. And he sees him come in, and the water's plentiful for fishing. It's like a beautiful place. And the guy's like, why don't you like build a business out of that? Get a bigger boat. You'll be able to get a team of folk doing it. And the person's just like, well, I don't want to do that. I want to go out and catch fish every single day and come home and make fresh fish. And it's like, a lot of folk sometimes look at opportunities the wrong way, because they'll like monetize, scale, drive, fucking do this thing that's actually like all that, even in like fitness. So it's like, folk are like, I need to get fucking shredded. And it's like, are you ready to do that yet? And for a lot of time, folk aren't. And see, when you see folk hit massive points of relapse, it's because they've just been so stubborn and pushed through. Like, they've maybe done like a dieting phase where they've put getting shredded for a photo shoot on the pedestal, And then when they've actually got to there, they've realised, holy shit, I'm not actually ready to be in this position yet because I've not actually built the behaviours, the beliefs. I've not got I don't see myself in that light yet. I've actually just put everything on a thin line that when I've get there, the lines just went boop and popped. Do you know what I mean? And that's what so many folk do. And it's like, and again, at the same time, I'm not saying don't be ambitious, but you're going to have ups and downs and you're going to fucking hurt yourself quite badly. Like, you're going to have these points. Like, I think they're an essential part of growing, but like it is, like, I don't even know how I've got into this conversation of talking about what we're talking about. I asked you about like why folk do this in their careers, but I think as we were talking about measuring success, like if you're not clear on what that is, you end up just living someone else's narrative of success, don't you?
Yeah, definitely. It's the phrase you always hear. I've heard it so many times. It's like, you've got a good job or they've got a good job. But I'm like, what does that mean? That doesn't tell you anything about, like, are they happy in that job? Does it give them fulfillment? Does it align with who they are as a person and their values? Or are they just doing that job because they need money? Like,
exactly.
They have to do it to feed the family or whatever. Yeah. It doesn't necessarily say that they enjoy that job. Yeah, they might have worked their way up, get promotions, be quite high up in their position in their field. But if it might be a good job, but if they don't enjoy it, then what's the whole point of them doing it at the end of the day? Yeah.
And that's the full thing of, like, it kind of goes back to, you ever heard the saying, the expression before, you can still be miserable with a six pack, and it's the full ideology of folk think they're going to be better once they get to this point. But that also flips on itself as well, where like sometimes folk associate these things that we were talking about there, like being in great shape or having like a great job or lots of money in the bank. They then tie it to this thing that actually is like, do you know what? I don't actually want that because that's actually a fucking bad thing and that's going to do this to me. And it's like, no, it's not. That's just your experience of that.
Yeah.
At that given point at that time. And I think that's a big thing that holds a lot of people back as well, where they draw a line in the sand because of an experience that they have had or they know that someone else has had. Example, getting in fantastic shape. A lot of folk will be like, oh, that person done that and they had like no libido and like they were fucked and it really ruined their relationship. And it's like, well, I've had visible abs for the past few years, right? I've been in really, really good shape and there's only been a few points that I've been like felt like that, right? And it's not usually been through dieting, it's been through fucking burning myself into the ground with work and stuff, right? That's why it's been, and a lot of folks just associate because someone else has done it this certain way, that they then go, so-and-so does this or they do that and I seen that they have this job, and people throw rocks at things that they don't understand.
Yeah.
And it's like, you just need to be like, at that given time that person maybe done that thing where they got into great shape or they trained for an event that kind of broke them or they built a business that didn't serve them. They had to do that to then get the success at the other side of it. And I think this is a big thing that I certainly see within the fitness space. It's like a lot of folk just slander things because of like their experience with it. You see it a lot with like maybe coaches that are former bodybuilders that are now anti-dieting and anti-counting calories, and they're sitting preaching to all these people about like, here, don't do that. There's a better way to do this. And like, you can be like me. And it's like, no, but the reason you are in the position you are in is because you got stung and you made those mistakes. So you can't bypass them and tell folk that those are not good. It's your experience of it that's not a good thing.
Yeah.
And you actually need to understand that the reason you're in the position you're in now is actually partly because of that thing that you're slandering.
Yeah, they've still went through all the whole count calorie situation.
Yeah.
Went through all that, done it. Yeah. Taking it to the extreme.
Yeah, massively. And like people go and it's like, no, that's bad. It's like, no, it's not bad. Your experience of it was not good. And it's like, how can we change that? How can we rewrite that? And that's, a lot of folk just go, oh, I don't do count calories. I don't weigh myself. I don't do this. It gives me a poor relationship. It's like, right, well, rather than just saying that, ask yourself, why? Why?
Yeah, there's something underlying there.
What's what lens are you looking at this through? What's the thing that's actually limiting you back right here as well? So yeah, man, like kind of playing devil's advocate to your own advice there. Like, you need to be clear on what it is and make sure that you're not chasing someone else's. But I would agree, mate. I would say it stems from, and I can imagine different cultures in different countries. We're obviously from Scotland, from the UK. Majority of the UK is very much like this. But like, you could be in America and it might be slightly different. They might be encouraged in a different way to do it. It all starts from when you're young, doesn't it though?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Would you say that we are going the kind of same way that America is right now?
I would say like in so many ways. I think like people talk about like from an actual obesity standpoint, man, like the way that America is, like people talk about America, it's like this, I think that we're in the same shoes as America right now.
We're not far behind.
We're not far behind, man. And I think a lot of folk are in a state of denial about that, man. Like, but I think as well, we're always a few steps behind countries like America and Australia and stuff like that, from like the way that business is going and the way that certain things are going. But you're always following, and these are just bigger countries with more people, so we're always just a little bit behind, aren't we? But yeah, I think we're definitely moving the same direction in America, in good ways and bad ways.
Yeah.
Do you know what I
mean?
Yeah. Hopefully no gun crime though.
No, definitely
yeah.
not.
You go for it, mate.
Right. I'm going to go this is quite a deep one, I think. Both of us have been through bereavements this year. How has it affected your outlook on life?
That's a really good question, man. I had this conversation the other day with someone, and I think about death quite a lot, but not in a way that's like, I think it's actually quite a healthy thing to think about it. Not that I'm like cynical or like I'm low about it, but I think anytime you go through like a bereavement or someone passes away in your life, it does make you think, it really, really makes you think how short life is. I already do, and I had a really good chat with my mate the other day, and he was just kind of talking about where he's at in his life, and he's like, turning 30 was a big point for him because it made him realise a lot of different points in his life, and we're having a really good chat, and I was like, I feel quite grateful because I feel like the realisations a lot of people have when they're 30, I feel like I had that when I was about 23. I had that sort of like crisis of like,
the oh fuck moment.
Oh fuck, what am I doing here? Yeah. What am I doing? Like, and it was when I left my old job, and then it kind of happened again when I was like 25, and I realised I was moving in the same path but in a different career, different life, that I was just falling into that same, and I was like, I'm cutting corners here still massively, and I'm not asking more for myself as much as I can. I'm not living to my potential. And for me, like when I like experienced bereavement this year, man, it was like just another reminder, and it's something I think about all the time, like just how precious life is. Like I'm very aware of time as well, man. Very conscious of like when I go to sleep and I put my head down the pillow and I wake up, or like I think about a day when I'm like, oh, I can't wait till it's that thing, and I remind myself, I'm like, Kristian, all of a sudden you're going to blink and you're going to be waking up in the same position you do every single morning where you sit up and do that same wee routine. Like I'm very conscious of that, man. Very, very conscious of time. Very conscious of like, I think back to something that was 10 years ago. It was like 2 seconds ago. So see, in 10 years, mate, I'm going to be 40. And it's another 10 years until I'm going to be 50. Math. But the point I'm trying to get at here is that like, we sometimes almost kind of like, you fall ignorant to it. And I think it's in a fail-safe way because our brains are actually designed to protect us in any way, shape or form. But it actually protects us of what we do know, but what we don't want to know. Mm-hmm. So it's almost a bit like every time I experience a bereavement in my family, it's another subtle reminder. It just makes me look at that more. And I don't look at it in a bad way. Like I used to be very, very scared of dying. Like very, very scared of dying, and I'm not. See, being dead honest, see when the full thing kicked off with Russia and Ukraine, that really scared me. I don't know if that was because when I was in the forces and I was aware of, I was just very conscious of like the former Cold War, like the tensions that have been there, and that this is actually quite a bad move, and the fact that I know that it's a lot more than just obviously that conflict, but I really, really thought like, fucking nuclear holocaust, man, fuck. Like, and then I just thought to myself, well, everyone would die. Like, everyone would die anyway. Like, so I may as well just do what I fucking can do. Like, if that happens, it happens. If that happened, I know this is taking a pretty south turn.
Yeah.
But like, the point I'm trying to get at here is like, see, then I started reading about like deeper into AI. Then I started reading more into fucking what's happening in Taiwan with China right now. Then I'm like, that now, what's going to fucking happen happens. Do you know what I mean? Mm-hmm. It just happens.
So much of this stuff is so out with your control.
I know, and it's like the more, so I think to answer your question, mate, the more I've experienced it, I've actually realised that like even that documentary I was talking to you about the other day about the stuff in China and Taiwan, like, see, even if that was last year, that probably would have left me a wee bit like, oh, I was like, oh, fuck it, it's going to happen, man. Do you know what I mean? Like, we're on the verge of like a world war, but do you know what? Like, I'll just keep doing my thing, man. I feel like, and that's all you can do in it. Like, so I think this year, man, it just made me realise like, I was aware of my mortality, but probably a bit scared of dying, and now I'm just a bit like, well, just everyone's gonna, it's an inevitable in it. Like,
part of life.
It's part of fucking life. So you just need to like, you just need to accept it. And like, if you're in a state of denial, you're gonna have friction there. But I wouldn't like to die, to be honest, right now. I feel like I've got a lot of living to do. But no, I think it's quite unhinging, isn't it?
Yeah.
But I think it's important to think about it.
Yeah, definitely. I think for me, this was the first time I experienced grief as an adult. The last time I experienced it, I was 17, so I wasn't really fully aware, and still quite innocent, still at school, so you couldn't really fully comprehend it. Whereas now, as an adult, you're way more aware of your own mortality. Like seeing people dying, not just in your family, but like other people that are similar to you in age as well. When you hear about them dying, you're like, wait a minute, that could be me. Or that if something happens, that could happen to me. That could happen to anyone. But I think I've just realised that I need to be a little bit more spontaneous in my life, because I'm someone that's quite regimented, love routine, getting into the nitty gritty of stuff, but I'm not the most spontaneous person. And if I don't be spontaneous, I'm not going to be able to experience all the stuff I want to before I die.
Definitely, man. And it's like, for like, I've again, the experiences I've had with that is like, I genuinely do, I look at my life even over the past few weeks, and like, I really have adopted that mentality of like, you just throw everything at it, man. Like what you can do. And like that for me, it's like, I don't really have, I think regrets are an inevitable part of life. Even if you've done everything you wanted to do, you would still have a regret. Do you know what I mean? Like, but for me, it's like, I genuinely am like, nah, I'm doing everything I can do. Like, I'm playing as, like, you can always play bigger, but I'm throwing fucking like big rocks at things now in a good way. Do you know what I mean? That sounds bad. Like I'm throwing rocks at.
You've almost got to choose what your regrets are going to be.
Yeah, definitely.
At the time. It's quite unnerving.
I realised this week as well, and I actually said it in my stories this morning, I was replying to some messages from fucking 5 days ago, personal messages, and I was like, that's not good enough. So you need to get it right, the balance right as well. Like, so you're sitting there going, oh, I need to do all these things. So you're never going to get, I always say there's like 3 elements in a program: performance, lifestyle, career. And it's like, imagine it's like a pint glass. Most folks' pint glass isn't even full, but like, I'm trying to keep mine full, but then spill it onto the right areas. And you're going to go through points where like career gets a little bit more attention. Then you're going to get some points where like performance gets a little bit more attention. Then there's like some points where personal. But I know me personally, recently, it's been very, very, very coaching, business, training. And it's like, there's been obviously lifestyle stuff in there, but like we're about to go to Bali for a wee bit of time, and then I'm going to go a holiday with my parents. I'm going to take 7 days off, and it's like, I'll restore that. So as long as you have like, you're clear on what your intentions are for like the upcoming year and the upcoming months, you're able to actually be like, right, well, this is going to be quite intensive in this area here. I'm going to push in this area here. Right, when I'm peaking for this event that I've got coming up, I'm probably not going to be able to do that thing there. So that'll have to be going on. Folks just don't do that. And I know that is quite high level thinking, but like having that sort of like, that sort of way that you look at your week and your year and your months is so important to actually getting shit done. Otherwise you end up in this point where you just push in one area, and then you just neglect, and then you just keep driving in that, and then you're just in this like mad push, and then you let so many things go.
And that comes back to the question at the start about like people succeeding in their career but not their health.
Yeah.
They just push in career and then just totally neglect their health.
You can hear it when you talk to folk as well. Like we speak to obviously a lot of folk that are in careers, maybe they run a business or they're in something where like it is a big part of their life. And it's like, you're asking folk like, how are they? And they're telling you about their job, and you're asking them like, what's their goals? And they tell you about their career goals. And you're like, I'm not fucking asking you that. Like, I'm not asking you those things, but you keep telling me them. And it just shows you where folks' mind is at.
Their priorities lie as well.
I don't say that to them. I just keep asking them the same question until they realise that I'm not asking the thing that they're answering. And then they go, oh shit. And it's like a pure eye opener as well. So what have I wrote down here? I'm on the wrong page. So my question now, mate, like what's the biggest bullshit story that people feed themselves nowadays? Thinking about what we do as coaches, thinking about what we helpful do, what would you say in your opinion?
I think it's probably saying I'm not something, or there's probably a few, but like the biggest one I see is I'm not this. By doing that, or not even, sorry, no, I'm not, it's when people say I can't. Because see, as soon as you say that, you're not going to do it. Like, you've totally closed that door already. Whether you say I can or I can, either one of them, you're right. If you're saying I can't, that's it. That's just that negativity there straight away about whatever it might be that they say they can't do. But the thing is, they probably can do it. They've just never done it before. So that you're naturally inclined to say, I can't do that.
Yeah.
No, you just can't do it right now.
Yeah, for me, it's probably like when I see people in a position where like you work with them for, I always say like we're obviously like when someone comes into like our program, like we're exposing every single crack, and it will come like there'll come points where like they're so in it with like what we're doing, how we're supporting them, what we expect from them, the standard, the cadence inside of the program, what we want from someone. They're like, it gets to a point when someone's been working with you for 8 months, like there's no denying that thing that is like the elephant in the room that they need to change. And like, I think the bullshit story that folk feed themselves is like they'll tell themselves stories in any way, shape or form to actually, like, the biggest elephant in the room is that they've actually found comfort in discomfort. Like, they've maybe found this like chaotic lifestyle, or this like this, maybe they've, essentially what it is, it's like a state of victimhood, because they've been in this point for such a long period of time where it's all they've known.
Yeah.
Like, they've been in this sort of state of like pain, let's call it.
I was going to say pain.
They've been in this state of like, let's call it like contraction, this sort of state of pain that they've actually became familiar with it, where like, it's almost got to a point where like, balls in your fucking court now, man. Like, what are you doing here?
It's easier to stay in pain than come out of that pain.
Yeah. And that's as the saying goes, it's when the pain of staying the same outweighs the pain of change, that's when it all starts happening, isn't it? Mm-hmm. When the pain of staying the same outweighs the pain of change, that's when you start making change. Because for a lot of people, they're telling themselves all these stories, but the reality is they're just comfortable, and they've actually found like they can tolerate, and they're actually familiar, and they've actually built a bit of an identity around this person that they've became. And it's almost like the reason why they're not changing or making the progress they want is they can blame all the external factors, but the reality is they're masking it in this sort of like, yeah, but like, I've got this and this doesn't work and this doesn't work and this doesn't, but it's enough pain that they can tolerate it, because they've tolerated it for 5, 10, 15 years, and they know it and they understand it and they get it, and folk have built them as this person that does this thing. But it's like for me, it's almost kind of like, people, when they get to that point and they've been in the program long enough and they can actually see that, it's almost kind of like, right, sure, move now, because all the lights are on them, all the cracks are exposed, and it's just kind of like, right, what you doing here?
Yeah,
what you doing? It's your move. Because there's nothing that they can say, because there's an undeniable stack of evidence that's like, yeah, you're just in this point right now, man, but what the fuck are you going to do? Like, you're just like, what are we doing here? Like, I would just say that to folk frequently, like, what the fuck are we doing? Like, what's the real problem here? Like, what's going on here, man? And I think that's a spot that so many folk get into. It's like, and they're looking for all these reasons, like, maybe I need to like do this at this time in the morning. And do you know what? See, for some people, like, changing small changes in their routines and changing the way that they're doing things, but that's for folk that are making good progress, that are maybe feeling that they're stuck because of something's maybe not working. It can genuinely be something small, but see, for most people, they're just not doing the thing that they're meant to be doing very well, because they're just complacent and they're telling themselves a bullshit narrative as a result of that, man.
Change is uncomfortable, and people just don't want to go there.
Yeah, I always think it's funny where like we get folk as well to write down like, what you're willing to do this. It's like everything, how important are results to you, and then they hit the first hurdle and they're kind of looking at you like, do I really have to do that? And it's like, this is what it fucking looks like. This is it. Like this thing that you don't want to do right now, this is the thing that you don't realize. But they think change is just like track calories. Do you know what I mean? Like, I'll track calories
and count my steps,
and you're like, no. Like, I
remember when I came on board with you as a client, and we scheduled a call. I think it was my game plan call, and it was for a Monday night. I think it was like 6 o'clock, 6:30, whatever. And I had a session in that day, but before I started working with you, I always went to the gym in the evenings. And I was like, have I started to do this gym session in that day? And you were like, yeah. And I was like, shit, when am I meant to do this? Fuck, I'm going to need to do it in the morning. I'm going to need to get up like before work, go to the gym before work so I can come home and have this call. And just changing that one thing, and that was really uncomfortable, to the point where the night before it, I couldn't sleep. Like, I was just pure waking up every like couple hours, because I was like, I need to make sure I'm up in time. Yeah. Because I was so scared of like either sleeping in, missing the gym, and then also being late for work. I was like, oh no, I can't do that.
Yeah. It's funny because like I remember that now, but I don't even see you as someone that worked out in the evening. Do you know what I mean? And there's nothing wrong with working out in the evening, but I love that. That's a great point. It's a fucking fantastic point, because it's like the point of the bit where folk are comfortably uncomfortable, but it's like, do you know what? This is actually going to allow you to build more discipline. It's going to actually allow you to get more out of your day, front load your day. Folk are kind of looking at you like, yeah, but that's hard. And it's like, yeah, but that's change. Should it be easy? Like, should it genuinely be easy? Should it act like, see, if you want it to be easy, man, you're going to live a harder life.
Change isn't easy, but the tools you can do are simple.
I know.
Things like
so
going to the gym in the morning, go to your bed earlier.
I know.
That's one of the biggest things I hear when I tell people, I go to the gym in the morning before work, I'm up at 5:30, and they go, what time do you go to your bed? And I'm like 9, half 9.
Yeah.
Oh, it's too early. And I'm like, no, it's not. It's just
I know. You wake up too late.
You go to bed at like 10, 11 o'clock. That's you. You
I know.
do what you do, but it's not. The change is simple. It's not easy though.
I know. I often think when we're going back to the mortality thing, like when I'm sitting there mindlessly watching something for like the third night in a row and I'm staying up late for the sake of watching this thing, am I actually going to remember that? And this is for the type of person that I am, by the way, for where I'm at and what I'm doing. Not saying if you do that there's anything wrong with it, but for someone that really has got big goals, a big agenda, they want to achieve great things physically, professionally, it's like, are you acting and behaving like the person that fucking deserves those goals? Simple. Like, are you? And it's like, nah, I'm not. Cool, go and do it. Go and do the thing. Go and act like that person and behave like that person. Stop just like, I always describe it to someone when we're on like a game plan with them. It's like, you come in and it's like, imagine it's like Jenga. Some folks is messier than others. It's like smashed up at the bottom. But they want to just stack the things on top of the messy pile. Like the new Jenga blocks. And it's like, it doesn't work like that. You know, just like slap stuff on top of what's broken. You go and look at what you're doing and you restack it and you reshape it in a way that's going to be more solid and better for you. And that's what a lot of folk are doing. It's like, because especially the folk that we will get into the program, because they maybe have been training for a while, they maybe do have a bit of skin in the game, and that they're like, they think they've cracked it. It's like, but see, the minute you think you've cracked it, man, it's the beginning and the end. The minute you think that if you actually have this like fucking belief about yourself right now, you've cracked it, you're failing. Right?
There's a reason you've got a coach as well.
I know.
You've not cracked it.
I know. So like the biggest thing right now is like, it's just understanding like, wait, like just let go of that, man. Nobody's cracked it. Nobody's cracked it. Nobody's worked out. Everyone's always refining, and you need to be in a mindset of like always looking at ways to improve. So that's you to go now, mate.
Yes. So this is one off the cuff. So reflecting back to this time last year, October 2022, what are you most proud of doing, or can be any sort of change, anything you've completed?
I've done a lot of things, man, over the past year, but I just really like the way I'm behaving right now. I just feel like I'm just behaving like the person that I want to be, if that makes sense. Like I really, really feel like I felt like last year that a really like tough year in the sense of like, I felt like I was like, you know when you have one of those dreams where you go to punch somebody and it's like
slow motion.
It's like that. That was last year for me, mate. I was like that.
It's like your hands just going like...
With everything, mate. Like just everything I was doing, I was like, why is this not working? And why is this not going? And why is this not... And it was like, it was me. I just wasn't behaving like the person that deserved the things that I wanted, man. And I don't know, I just feel it over the past year, like I just feel a lot more calm. Like a lot more like calm and like content. Like I just look at the way things are going, I just like, it's good, man.
Do you feel like you have a clearer vision?
Yeah, definitely, mate. Kind of lost it a wee bit last year, man, and then I just felt like, that's the only way I can describe it, mate. For an entire year, I just felt frustrated, just for the full year. I just couldn't put my finger on it, but it was just like, I just thought I should be further ahead than what I was, and which is ridiculous. Do you know what I mean? It's like, what does that look like? Do you know what I mean? And I just felt like I felt friction. Do you know what I mean? I had a good year still. See when you say things like that, like it sounds like you had a terrible year. Do you know what I mean? Like it really isn't, but that's the best way. And for me, it's probably like I'm just proud of the way just a week right now is like there's always opportunities to do cool things, and there's always cool people you're meeting. Life's good, man. Do you know what I mean? There's a lot of exciting things happening, and I delivered a really good talk on it at an event I was speaking at the other weekend. It was getting out your own way, and it was really just talking to a former version of myself. Like not even former, because that shit, like your ego doesn't go away, but it's like it was just really realizing that like you need to give yourself some perspective sometimes, and understand that some people would give anything. A lot of people would see if you've got the fucking privilege to even be listening to a podcast right now. There's a lot of people that would give anything to switch places with you right now. Do you know what I mean? And I think like you need to just reframe things when you're getting frustrated. It's like, right, why am I getting frustrated? Like it's a fucking great situation that you're like, something about like your health, something about like your body, something about your business. It's like you're sitting there going like that. Why are you frustrated about it right now?
If you're getting frustrated, great, because then there's a challenge there.
Yeah.
You're going to get to take that on and complete it.
Yeah. And like for me, it was like just a lot of, I thought I should be further ahead than what I was, mate. And that was something that you can ask Ailey. It's something I spoke about. I just was like, I was getting pissed off at like the lack of growth in areas of my life. Then I was like, I just need to fucking rip everything back and just fucking act like that person. Because see me moaning about this, I'm not behaving like that person right now. And that's what I mean. Like from the outside, it's like these are all the wee, like everyone's going good. Do you know what I mean? Like, but there was just a lot of frustration, mate. What about you?
Good question.
What's your question?
I know. I think it's just operating harder.
Yeah.
I think thought I was operating pretty well, but I've realised that there's more. But I've also realised as well that there's going to be times you're going to need to just pull back and be honest with yourself and really manage your energy, because that's what's driving you. And if you're running on empty, then you're going to be fucked, and your output's going to be shit as well. And what you're going to give to clients and your job, whatever it might be, it's going to be below the standard that you want. So you need to actually manage your energy really well and not be cautious of it, but be like safeguard it. Don't let people take it away from you when you don't need them to.
Something I spoke to inner circle clients about, that's like our like sort of top level mastermind that we run inside of the program for people that are essentially in a position of leadership, but they also want to take their body, their health and the leadership to like a higher level. And I spoke about like energy is a currency. Like it's like this thing that's like you need to watch how much you're fucking giving to other things. You need to watch how much folk are taking for you, what you're putting. It's a currency. Do you know what I mean? You deposit some and you also take some as well, and other people take some. It's like an ATM. Do you know what I mean? So you need to be very, very careful of like where it's going and stuff as well, especially when you want to push really hard, because the harder you push, you need to fucking look after it more. Do you know what I mean? Like you need to water. You almost need to water it. Do you know what I mean? So yeah. What are you loving and hating at the moment?
Loving can it be anything?
Anything you want, mate.
Loving watching the Rugby World Cup. Yeah, it's so good. Love watching rugby. I actually enjoy watching rugby more than I enjoy watching football, just purely from like a tactics point of view, and because it's so back and forth as well. Just really enjoying it, and I just enjoy watching rugby, to be honest, more than anything else.
Yeah, you love rugby, ruggers.
Aye, I do enjoy it.
I'm pure unsporty, man. It's funny when folk come in the programme and they're like talking to me and Josh and their WhatsApp chat, and then they're like talking about like football and stuff, and I'm like just pure pretending to agree, and Josh is pure pissing himself because he knows like I'm totally not interested in football or anything like that, man.
Yeah, it's quite funny.
I don't even know anything about football. Like my dad still talks about football. My dad still like goes, "Son, did you see that fucking Mourinho done this and that?" And I'm like, why do you still tell me this? Like, why do you like, my mum actually pisses herself because it's like she can see him going to do it and he just goes and tells me this thing, and I'm like, I'm totally not interested, but we've made it so clear that I'm not interested in it.
I think it's funny because you have like no knowledge of it either. It's not like you can casually keep up. You just have zero knowledge.
I don't even know what's going on. I don't know. I was like to Josh earlier. Like Josh was talking about like next year, and he's like, I'm going to take some time off at this time for like, I thought it was the rugby. What is it again?
Yeah, the Euros. Scotland qualifying for the Euros.
No idea. I was like, rugby? Absolutely no idea. Oblivious. And I think that's a good way to be, man. Like, it's just not really care about some things that you're not interested in. Do you know what I mean? It's like, I think as well, man, a lot of folk are very like, got such an agenda with like what you should be keeping up with. Do you know what I mean? Like,
yeah.
Folk like, even what you should be watching the news. Like, I don't vote, right? Probably gonna get a bit of hate for that, man, right?
It's controversial.
I don't like, do you know what's controversial though? When I told fucking people who I voted for, then they go, you shouldn't have done that. Yeah. Or like when, like, so like, this is my argument. It's like, there's no party that I'm like, I like them. Like, there's like, they've got this agenda that's like a multitude of different things that I'm like, I like that one bit, but that fucking 90% of it's a load of shite. I'm like, so why is there not like more broken down things? Do you know what I mean? So it's yeah, mate, like it's probably gonna get a bit of fucking hate for it, man. A few fucking unfollows, man. But do you know what I mean? It's I pay my taxes, man. I pay my taxes. Pay VAT.
One of the other ones that I think that's kind of similar to that is like people say, "Oh, have you watched this? What you watching on the telly?" And I'm like, I don't really watch a lot of TV, if I'm being honest, just purely because I'm not really that interested in it. And people say, have you watched that? Have you seen this? Are you watching this? And I'm like, nah. And to go back to your actual question, what's one thing that you hate? Or what am I hating? It's when people ask me something and they assume that I've seen it on the news and they assume that I know about it. And I'm like, I have no idea what you're talking about.
Yeah. I'll start off with hate for a positive one.
Go for it.
pure hate, surface level chat. Like, she's just pure, like, drivel. Like, you just feel like you're making it. I'm totally for, like, making conversation with folk and that, but, like, see, when folk are just talking about things, like, see, imagine you're sat somewhere and you were meeting one of your friends somewhere and they went, come round to my house, and then, like, 3 of their friends were there and they had a beer or something, and then you don't really know each other, and then all of a sudden someone just starts talking about what's happening in Palestine.
Talking about the football.
Yeah, you're just sitting there like, just pure, there's this like default, every country has like a default behaviour of what they speak about. Like, see if somebody asks me how I am, you know this, like, I just tell them how I am. Like, they go, how are you? I'm like, pretty tank today, man. How are you? And they're like looking at you like, how are you? I'm really excited right now, man. Like, I'm actually really buzzing. I've done this the other day and it's made me really happy. I tell folk how I am. Like, if someone goes, how are you? I tell them. I genuinely, and folk are looking at you like, didn't I ask you that? It's like, no, you actually did. You did ask me that. Do you know what I mean?
Seem surprised by your answer.
Yeah,
it's like when you ask someone how they are, or you go, not bad. So, are you good then? Nah. Like, well, so you're not bad. If you're not bad, you're good.
Yeah.
Like, I think that's the most frustrating answer you get when you ask somebody how they are.
I think it's more to do with the fact that, like, I'd probably say right now at this moment, like, I suppose that's a current question. I think that, like, hate is like a strong word, and it's like, do you know, for me, I don't like when folk just don't really listen to you, man, and don't really like communicate well, and don't, like, see you having a conversation with someone and then you ask them something and then you just talk over you. Like, it pure puts me down, man. I'm like, why have you done that? Like, just answer my question or listen to it. Do you know what I mean? Something I remember a client that I coached ages ago said this. He went, I know, Kristian, he was a dead soft-spoken guy. He's like, I know, Kristian, he was dead disappointed himself. I need to stop hearing you and just start listening to you. And I was like, I love that, man. I was like, yeah, you do, because you're not fucking implementing, you wee bastard. But it was like, it's a good point, because a lot of folk just hear you, they don't listen to you. Mm-hmm. They just hear you and they just go,
because they hear and then they just want to speak back. They don't actually listen to what they're saying and go, take it in and then actually think about it. Like, okay, what does that actually mean?
Mm-hmm. I think for me right now, for what I'm loving, I was just pure thinking about that. I felt like I was hearing you there, not listening, because I just started to think about my own answer.
Think about your next answer.
I was trying to think about my next answer. I agree though. I do agree. I'm just pure loving training now. Like, I'm training, like, just really loving it, man. Like, I know that sounds like really, really simple, but like, I'm genuinely just walking into the gym feeling like a fucking madman right now.
It just makes you feel good.
Makes you feel very good about your life, man. And like, there's always this metric, like, when I'm really enjoying training, like, I'm just in a really good spot in life.
It's just people that you know, and when you see them training well, they're in a good mood, and their training's going well, you're like, right, you're in a great spot. Your energy's good, you're just feeling quite cheery, I can see it in you.
Yeah.
It just makes such a difference to just having a good training outlook as well.
Yeah.
How you finding progressing since High Rocks Milan?
Good. We actually had a wee inquiry call with a coach, but they never showed up for it.
Ouch.
So I am not working with that coach. I'm not going to name any names. But yeah, we're on the hunt for a coach right now, man, to help us, because I know that I just want help from someone that's a pro at it. So I know that we're progressing good, man. Like, it's like, I'm not saying that like I don't know how to do it on my own. I definitely do, and I feel that we're making great progressions, but I just want someone to help us and guide us and give us all that fucking advice. Like, I hope folk can see this. Like, see when folk, like, they like see like the cheat code, I think, for life, right? See if you don't know something, go and pay somebody that knows more than you, that's doing good at it, to teach you how to do it. Like, I don't know why more folk have not cottoned on to this. Like, it's like folk are, when they talk to like coaching sometimes, and they're kind of looking at it and they're skeptical, you know, like that. I get when folk are skeptical, because like when folk come into a program, one of the guys that joined last week was actually like, I don't know if you heard Elliot's voice note, but it was just like, man, this is fucking different level.
Yeah.
And I was like, I know it is, mate. I know it's different level. It is different fucking, it's a different ball game, right? Because folks' experience of what it is like so subpar, man. Do you know what I mean? I fucking inquired to a coach the other day, and he never showed up for the fucking call. Do you know what I mean? To another coach. I was just like, for fuck's sake. So like, I can understand why folk can be skeptical about it, but at the same time, like, when people see people doing bits, it's like, just go and fucking chat to them, man. Mm-hmm. Like, if they're doing well, man, go and like Go and chat to them and then go and get their help, and they will actually change your life.
I think people want this kind of rags to riches story of like doing it all by themselves and kind of climbing the ladder and saying, I've done this. But it's if you want to go quicker, get a coach that's going to actually
see the full rags to riches thing of like doing it on your own though. They don't though. Like
no, they don't.
They don't do it on their own. Like so, like a really good example. One football player I do know, Ronaldo, pretty famous. That's a guy that he came from like not a lot, didn't he?
Yeah, that's right.
Like Madeira, he's from, isn't he?
Yes.
Seen that statue in Madeira of him?
It's awful.
It's actually awful. Like, and he didn't come from a lot, right? He's had some of the best fucking mentors in the world. Do you know what I mean? Like, think about the coaches he's had.
Yeah.
Think about the teammates he's been around. Think about like the direction. Folk call it rags to riches, but yeah, in your mind, you're kind of like, they've just had guidance. Like they've got the right, they've been in a position where they've been recognised and they've been able to get the correct guidance. They didn't do it on their own.
Especially some of the teams that he's played in. Like this is probably not out with your knowledge, but some of the teams that he's played in, like winning a lot of trophies.
Yeah,
he's got the best teammates in the world.
That's what I mean. And it's like, and if you even look at like, I know that's everyone's like, oh, very well, Kristian, Josh, that's Ronaldo you're talking about there. But like, you just need to think. The reason why I'm saying this is because we work with a lot of folk that will either come in at the programme that are aspiring to really kind of, they're in a point where they're maybe kind of starting out in their own career and they want to climb a ladder and they want to get that belief within themselves and be fucking high performing and stuff like that. Or you've got someone that's already in that position that's kind of lost their way with their health. And like, I talk to them about like being coached, the ones that are maybe execs, CEOs, business owners, they're in a management role. And I'm like, you didn't get there on your own. You got there through being mentored, didn't you? And they're like, yep, because they've all got a fucking mentor. They've all got like a career and like a professional mentor. And I'm like, so why, like, and obviously they're then getting coached, but I'm like, can you see how this is actually going to work in your personal? This is actually going to make you turn up better, feel better, look better because you're surrounding yourself with the right people. Do you know what I mean? Like, and I've got total admiration for folk doing things on their own. Like, I think it is important to do that. But at the same time, man, like if you're feeling like frustrated by something, all that, I think the big one with fitness is like, see, if you're like committing like so much time to it, like you're watching vlogs at every fucking moment that you can, you're like, you talk about it all the time, you live in the gym, and you're maybe moving at an okay pace, it's like, and you are actually in the position to do that. Like, why not? Like, it's mostly ego. It's mostly at a level where I spoke about this in a post recently where it was like, I worked with the US military in 2014, and it was just a wee lesson I was sharing. I remember the full time I worked with them, one of the things that kept coming up in my mind that I kept internally thinking was, God, you get laughed at if you've done this at home.
You get slagged off.
You get slagged off. And see that is the reason, right, in the UK, why so many folk aren't taking action. That's why.
Worried about other people's
opinions. They're worried about, you don't do that, I'll get fucking slagged off for doing that. That's why. And I know that, and I wrote the post saying there's a reason we don't work with as many men as we would like to in Scotland. Like, we have a lot of Scottish guys in the programme, but there's probably a lot of Scottish guys even watching this, maybe even right now, they're kind of like, I'd love to do that, but nah, man, I get laughed at for that. Do you know what I mean? It really is a big thing that holds so many folk back. I'll let you go, mate. Is another off the cuff one?
Yes. No, this is one I've actually got written down here.
Go for it.
Both of us have actually been doing a wee, I would say, experiment over the last few weeks where we've reduced our coffee intake. What have you noticed? What's been your biggest lesson or realisation in that time? I know it's only been a couple of weeks, but...
So I had 3 coffees in 3 weeks, and they were when I was in Italy, and I had one when I came back, and then I just went like that one morning, because the reason why I took a week off, it was funny, loads of folk in the programme now are having wee caffeine breaks now. It's funny, you just push your agenda, what you're doing like that. This will work right now, I'll go and do everyone else do that. But the reason why I was doing it was because I genuinely was noticing myself being a bit more anxious. Like, not in a way that it was like debilitating me or anything like that at all, but like there was, I think a lot of folk just hear anxiety and they think they need meds. like I genuinely just felt a bit more tense, a bit more like, body was like, I just felt a bit adrenally fucked. You know what I mean? Like, I'm a wee bit under stress here. So I decided the week before we went to do High Rocks Milan, I'm going to tactically take 5 days off of caffeine so that when I get to Italy, I can blow my mind off with a good coffee right before Milan, the event, and then it'll be a good effect. It'll be a good wee energy boost, which it was.
Italian coffee.
It was, man. It didn't actually feel that good when I was doing it. I felt quite anxious, like running around. Yeah, it was anyway. I done that, and then I had two coffees that day, and the next day I had one coffee. Then on the Tuesday I had a coffee. That was it. But yeah, like the one thing that I really noticed is I had sore heads for like sore heads. I had a sore head. Sore heads, as if I've got 3 heads. And I had a really sore head for like 3 days. In the first 3 days of not drinking any caffeine, and I just kind of sat with that, and I was like, that's not a good thing. Like the fact that my body's that dependent on that I actually stopped doing that, and I get a sore head.
I was the same as you.
Yeah.
The first 3 days I had a bit of a sore head, and I was like, this isn't good. I need to take some time off this.
Yeah. So yeah, since then I've just not drank any caffeine. I've just been having a decaf, and that was something that who was I with yesterday? It was Drew. Drew done the videography for High Rocks and that, and he's coming to Spain and stuff with us, and he we were talking about it, and I was just saying, and I think he thought I was doing it in a way like I didn't drink caffeine. He was like, because he thought I was like Mr. Fitness. I was like, no mate, like I usually have 2 coffees every single day, but like I just decided to take a bit of time off, and like I've just been having a wee oat milk decaf flat white instead. I just genuinely enjoy it, and that's something that I said inside of on one of our Monday calls all week, is like you need to have that mentality of switching. And if someone's maybe struggling to cut back on alcohol, they're struggling to cut back on like a certain substance that they maybe do, it's like switch it for something that's not going to be like, so see that if you're going like you don't want to miss socialising with your friends on a Friday night, but you know it's the one thing that's maybe holding you back because you lose momentum on a Saturday, carries on to the Sunday, or you end up overeating on that day or whatever, right? Just go out and have a few alcohol-free beers. Do you know what I mean? Or I was actually at an event the other week, and someone actually had a 0.1% beer. I didn't even know that existed. So you could get a wee hit. You could get the wee hit alcohol, wee tiny one, wee tiny dun. So I think that mentality of switching rather than actually cutting out is really, really good. Especially when it comes to progress. It's like looking at what you, especially if you're dieting and stuff as well, is like looking at what you're eating in a day, what you're eating in a week, and then actually just looking at it and be like, right, I'm at maintenance right now. Cool. This is more applicable to someone that, no, maybe not someone that's like really, really struggling to manage their nutrition, but someone that's at a point where they're like kind of at maintenance. It's like, cool, what am I eating in a week right now? Cool, what can I change? All right, I'll switch that for that. I'll cut that out of there and I'll do that. I'll not do that instead of there. I'll have that. Mm-hmm. Just switches. You're not actually cutting anything out. No. You're just, all you're doing is switching things. And it's like psychologically, like you don't even notice it.
Yeah.
And it's the psychological heart. Like that's why when I used to smoke and I stopped smoking when I went out to Cyprus, when I was based in Cyprus, because I was like, I'm going to use this as an opportunity to be in a different space and environment that I don't associate with smoking. And it worked. It actually worked. Amazing.
Yeah. I just decided as well, I thought I'm going to take this break, and then I've been drinking decafs as well. But for me, like the actual process of making a coffee is what I enjoy. It's the ritual of doing it. So I'm still getting that kind of nice feeling of making a coffee, but I'm not getting the anxiety, the reduced sleep quality, or any of that. Like I've definitely noticed my recovery and my sleep has been way better. Mm-hmm. Like I feel, when I wake up in the morning, I feel like, okay, I feel good.
Mm. Yeah, I'm the same, man. I think it's just that it's empowering again. Like I wasn't depending on caffeine either. I was always someone that I wouldn't have my first coffee till at least like after my gym and all that anyway. Like I'm not like a caffeine dependent person, but I definitely found that I was caffeine habitual.
Yeah.
If that makes sense. Yeah. Like I was like, I loved my coffee. It was almost like it was sacred, religious to have it with my breakfast. Mm-hmm. Like having my coffee and my breakfast was like, it was a ritual of it. It wasn't actually I need caffeine. It was just, I love that, the smell of it, making it, sitting down, taking it up to my office after breakfast, after the wee chat wheelie, starting my day, having the fresh coffee sat there. Like that's the bit that I like.
It's like you associate the smells, and sitting, working with it, taking a wee drink, working, and it's like an all-in-one package almost. Yeah. And you feel weird taking it away, but... Mm-hmm.
So I'm just coming up with a mad idea for drug addicts with talcum powder, but it's not a good idea, man. No. No, don't do that. So yeah, and probably some fucking folk are doing that anyway, man. Probably buying a fucking gram of talcum powder.
I wouldn't be surprised.
Right, anyway, what do you think holds most people back in the UK, more specifically Scotland?
I'm going to go even more specific, west of Scotland here. Yeah. And we've already touched on it, it's the opinions of others. Mm-hmm. And it's this west of Scotland mentality of like, you're a young guy, you should be out getting pissed, sniffing gear, doing all this stuff, going out with your mates, going to the football, rather than doing what you actually want to do.
Mm-hmm.
Like, you shouldn't be listening to the opinions of, well, you should listen to obviously other people's opinions, but not someone that you wouldn't swap places with.
Mm-hmm. I agree, man. I think it's sometimes just sad that like there's like an identity that like, especially in, it's funny like because we say the West Coast of Scotland, East Coast will have the exact same problems with a weird accent, man. Pure weird accent. They got like folk call like me a Chukter though, and I live in Ayrshire. People think Ayrshire's like I live next to a cow. Like I actually do live next to a field. like I actually do. I've got a beautiful view of a field from my garden. But yeah, like when like the definitely here, man. Like the biggest thing that I see is like it's almost like this like sort of. I was with Lewis the other week, man, and we were in the pub, and Lewis was just we had a pint, and he turned to me and he just made me laugh. He went, "Sounds like NPCs in here." I was like, "What's an NPC?" And he's like, "A non-player character." And I was like looking about and I went, "There isn't there?" And I got what he meant. I got what he meant when he said that. And I remember being in that position where it's probably like a lot of your life is like, that's the pinnacle of your life. Like the pinnacle of your life is that like boys in the pub. And like, do you know what? I like drinking, right? Everyone that follows me knows that, right? But like, I don't like, it's not like, that's not what I'm like, oh, this is a huge part of my week. Whereas see previously it was. And like, see when you're in that spot where it's like, all you care about is like the t-shirt, the 400 quid t-shirt, the getting with the boys.
To have the same night out.
To have the same night out every weekend, man. Like that mentality and that like identity, like I see folks sharing things on their stories that I'm like, you've only shared that because for the type of person that you want to be, and for what your friends see you as and what you think you should do, you've shared that. I know that's pretty fucking deep, but I think it's pretty fucking true. Would you agree?
Yes. People are trying to live the way that they think they should rather than the way they want to.
Yeah. Like they sort of like, they see it as well here where it's like folk are like, and I love rave music, man. I was a bit of a raver as well, man. But it's like folk just assume that identity of a raver, then all of a sudden they're sharing like fucking Nina Kravis fucking sets in Boiler Room on their stories. It's like, you're not like that. Why are you doing that? Like, why are you sharing that thing right now? That's not really you. And it's not to say there's anything, but they're assuming an identity that they think they should do for like a level of acceptance. Do you know what I mean? I'm not like slandering anyone that does that. Like, if you love fucking Nina Kravis, man, fair play, she's pretty good. But like, the point I'm trying to get at is this, like, there's definitely this like culture around being this person that's quite like edgy and cool and fucking, do you know what I mean? Like, that's what you do. But then the lifestyle and territory that comes with that ends up like really, really, like that's almost like quite like a sort of malleable, vulnerable person that ends up doing this lifestyle that ends up fucking doing them in, and they end up drinking way too much, taking drugs, and in that sort of spot where they're like, I don't really like who I'm becoming.
Yeah. But
it's acceptance in it, do you know what I mean?
On the flip side, High Rocks in Glasgow is now over 2 days, which shows you there's a massive demand for it here.
That's like that as well though.
So there is like people who want to go and do it, and there is that community and that's there that wants to go and push themselves hard. Yeah.
No, there definitely is, mate. But there's definitely an element of that with the High Rocks thing as well, mate. Like, see what I said there? There's this like bandwagon. Like it's, and I love it and I think it's good, man. But like, and I know it is the fitness event for everyone, but there's probably just some folk that it's like the thing with photo shoots and all that as well. Like I built a training recently and I tell everyone to go and watch it because I was sick of people coming to me telling me they wanted to do a photo shoot, and then they would go and watch and they go, turns out I don't actually want to do a photo shoot. And it's not because I'm saying there's anything wrong with it. Like, actually we do one every single year at the start of the year. Big man's running it up this year, heading it. And basically, but the point I'm trying to get at is like, I want folk to go and watch things that I've done one on a marathon. I'm going to do one on every sort of, see anything that we encourage folk to do, I'm going to go and build something that's like, go and watch that before you do it. And then they'll either come back to me and go, I'm fucking going for that, or they'll go, I'm not ready for that yet. Do you know what I mean? Like,
yeah. With these sorts of challenges, the actual thing itself is the easy part, the photo shoot on the day of the marathon. But it's that 12-week build up to it. That's the hardest part.
Yeah. Yeah, it's the discipline to turn up when nobody's looking. and do the things. But yeah, man, like I think as well, no, I think it's great, like the full thing in Scotland. I sound like I'm being cynical, like I actually fucking I've actually become quite obsessed with it. But I don't want I actually said to Josh, and this is on here for accountability, I'm not making Ready for Anything a program that's just all about high rocks. We're not about that. Like, yeah, we'll get you doing shit like that, but I'm not making it just a program just about a one trick pony, or that's not what we do. We're fucking helping folk be elite in every single aspect of their life, be the fucking best and reach their potential across the fucking spectrum, not just in one area. Because I said it recently, it's like it ends up becoming a thing that's just the same as fucking Weight Watchers. Do you know what I mean? Like it's the same as like especially when folk are maybe not doing it at like a fucking top level and they're just doing it, it just becomes a ticky box exercise. Do you know what I mean? To do it, and they think that they'll do that there. But again, you have to go through all these points to get to there, man. So yeah, like for me, it's definitely in Scotland, man. It's the conforming. Just made up a word. Made up 2 words. Conforming to the norm, but in a way that ends up becoming detrimental. And it's like there's things that you actually really want to do, and you can see. There's something actually, Chris, my mentor friend, that said to me, my mentor and friend, said to me recently, and it was, he was just talking about like his own experience, but he'd seen just like a shift in like me this year, like what I was talking about. And we were just kind of talking about this mentality of like really drawing your own line in the sand. And I've really found that like, I genuinely, it's not that I don't care. Like, see if I could somehow hear everyone what they said about me, it'd probably fucking cripple me, man. Like I'd be happy, but there'll be a lot of negativity in there as well. But like, I'm at this point right now where it's kind of like, I'm like, there's no limits. Do what you want, and then see whatever direction you want to move in. Do that. Just pick it and move in that direction. And like that's really been a big. I'd probably say, see what you were asking me earlier on, that what I'm most proud of, like over that probably summarises it as well. It's like, I feel like I'm actually just really pioneering my own life. Whereas before I was probably more conforming to what I thought I should be doing and where I should be. Mm-hmm. And then I actually was like, no, like I need to actually fucking be the person that drives this and pioneers it. Because if I don't, I'm always going to feel frustrated. Do you know what I mean? So there's probably elements of what I was saying there. And it's just all the same stuff dressed up differently. We're not all experiencing just fucking the same problems, aren't they? Same problems, man. Always the same things that creeps up, man. Fear of failure, ego, like insecurity. It's just the same things dressed up at a different level. That's all it is.
Yeah. Insecurity of what others will think as well. Yeah. Even though we've just been saying like, you don't always what we think about that, but it's going to be there.
Yeah.
Back of your mind.
It is. And you need to be doing things so big that it triggers that. Like it does. Like you need to, that's where the growing is, man. Like, we've had a lot of clients come on board, and I've actually recommended a lot of clients to go to therapy, but there's a lot of clients that we've had come in that have been to therapy, and I'm actually like, right, they've done the deep work, man. They're aware of what their problems are, they're aware of what their insecurities are, right? They need to go and do some fucking hard work and get uncomfortable. And that actually is the thing that is the catalyst for them going to the next point. Do you know what I mean? Like, I think a lot of folks' problems can be really, really solved by putting yourself in situations that you don't want to be in, because you have to evolve. You have to evolve fast, man. You have to get up with the cadence and the speed. Even when you don't know what you're doing, you're just kind of like, shit, man, I need to like, it's almost like you need to kind of like start a race running sometimes without your shoes on. Like try to put them on when you're running, like running along, like, oh my God. Like, I think that's a really good way to learn. It's like, you just need to like throw yourself at it. Another quote that I heard the other day that I wrote down, I thought was an absolute belter. Your perfectionism will kill you quicker than your imperfections. How fucking cool is that?
That's so true.
So true.
If you keep aiming for perfect, you're never going to get anywhere near it.
I know. It's so true, isn't it? And I think a lot of folk are in this point where it's like, oh, I'm just such a perfectionist. It's like, well, stop being. Like, just stop it. Because like, you actually doing that is actually slowing you down. And it's actually killing this perfect ideology that you have of what it is, the thing that you want. Is this like perfectionism, man? I think now though, with all these like words like perfectionist, like do you know what I mean? Like what's it called when someone's like imposter syndrome, sunk cost fallacy? I think all these words now like give people permission to slow down.
It's just a blanket.
Just a wee blanket to wrap themselves up in and go, that's what I've got. And you're kind of like that, is it? Or have you just not been working hard enough? You just need to go and do the thing you're already doing and do it better. I think that's what you need to do.
Yeah.
And then like, I've experienced all these things, but I always experience them. The one thing I've really realised about this, and this is my theory on it, I've experienced all of these syndromes and these things, right, all the time. But the one thing that I've never let slip throughout the entire time that I've experienced them is my work rate. I've never really, there'll be times where I've slowed down, but I'm always like really, really like, so as a result of that, I've never really been in a state of standing still, going backwards. I've only ever been in a state of forward. Mm-hmm. So as a result of being in a state of forward, I've seen these through a lens that a lot of folk, when they get to them, they'll see them in a state where they're standing still or going back the way. I've never experienced them like that. I've only experienced them in forward motion. So I'm almost kind of like, see when someone's telling me I've got this and I'm like, good. So I've had that. I didn't stop though. Just keep working. Because they're there. They're never not going to be there, and you're always going to experience them. And I've only experienced them in forward motion. So if I can experience them in forward motion, you can experience them in forward motion too. So get to work. Go and do more of the thing you need to do.
Just get your finger out.
Get your finger out and keep working. And it's like, you'll figure it out. Like, whereas if you stand still or go backwards, you're going to be in that pain. And it goes back to that thing I was saying. It's like, because you're familiar with it. I can tolerate this right now. I'm going to stay here for a wee bit though. It's like, nah. You need to just keep working and you will outwork it. And that's what for a lot of folks, sometimes, like, I spoke about this at an event the other week, and it's like, you want your problems to be harder than they are. You want them to be more complicated. You want them to be more difficult than they actually are. And more often than not, they're the most simple fucking thing. And the writing is on the wall right in front of you of what you need to do. And it really annoys me sometimes when I'm like, it doesn't annoy me. It makes me a bit gutted when I see a client with so much potential and they're on the fucking cusp of doing great, but they just keep slowing down when the same thing happens to them. I'm like, you do realise if you just move a couple of degrees that way and just work a bit harder there, you actually bypass this, but they just let it own them at that same point every time. And it's just like, just do it. Just work harder, man. Like, that's why I'm just like, most things can be solved by just genuinely pushing through it. Do you know what I mean? Like, outwork self-doubt. Just outwork it. Just like figure it out. Work harder. And you'll go through points and you'll get it along the way. Sorry, mate, I've asked too many questions here.
I don't know. I'm not actually
you go.
Sure. I don't know if this is a question, but actually something I forgot to tell you. That's quite good. A good point. I was out last weekend and I met an old mentor, and we were actually heading for the train home, and he said something along the lines of, "Oh, why didn't you just stay out?" And I was like, "Nah, go get the train home. I need to get up in the morning, do whatever. I'm going to go up and get after it." And he was like, "You've changed." And I was like, "Good.
Yeah,
I should hope so. Like, I don't want to not change and be the same person I was maybe 3-4 years ago, 5-6 years ago. I want to change. I want to get better. I want to improve. Don't want to be living the same life I was when I was 20 years old. Like, a lot's changed in that space of time. So, of course, I'm going to have changed. But it's just interesting because I seen...
Should have said, you have not.
Oh, that was exactly what I was going to say there. I just noticed, I'm like, you've not changed because you're still living the same way and acting the same way as you were. Whereas I know that I have changed, and I'm proud that I've changed.
Yeah.
Because I've went and done a lot of stuff.
Definitely.
In that time frame as well.
Yeah. And you're going to get that from a lot of people as well. And it's not to say there's anything wrong with that person, but like, you're going to get that when you go through a journey of growth. Is like, you're going to get folk see you through a light, man, and they don't like it changing. They like it just staying the same. Do you know what I mean? They like it just being a certain way. And it's like, but see, the thing is, man, like, that person might see you again in a wee while, or they might be watching this, listen back to this podcast. Hello. And yeah, like, they might see you next time, but like, shake your hand and go, like, that was fucking brilliant, man. Like, they've learned, or do you know what I mean? Like, yeah. Everyone's just evolving and developing, man. Because
they've probably only known me in one setting as well. They've not known me in this part of my life.
Yeah.
So they won't have known what I've been doing, who I am now.
Yeah, they took a mental check of when the last time they seen you to now. You know, well, we've changed, and you have. Do you know what I mean? Yeah. It's not even they're saying it in a bad way. What's the best and worst habit that you can have?
Worst habit is wrapping yourself around safety blankets consistently. Best habit is sleeping without your phone in your room.
I think worst habit's just being chained to your phone all the time. Like, having no boundaries whatsoever with your phone.
Actually, when I've been on my phone a lot, I actually find myself being quite drained.
Yeah, I feel
drained after it.
Yeah, well, think about it though, man. Like, think about like how much stuff. Like, I could literally go and spend a minute on there. I could literally go onto Instagram right now, free messages have just popped up. I could go into there. I'm seeing someone running. I'm watching someone in a gym. I'm seeing an advert. It's just loads of folk in gyms and transformations because I follow loads of fitness folk. But like, I've just experienced like 6 different people there, like that in that time right there. And it's like, then you could be on the discovery tool. You could be, your brain is just like getting pulled everywhere, man. And it's like, it's not just a phone. Do you know what I mean? It's not like, I think it's the most inappropriately named thing ever. Phone's like a big ass phone. Like, do you know what I mean? Like that you press buttons on, then you just pick up and speak to someone on the other end. That's what a phone does. This is it's like a wee digital version of you. It's like another world. It is actually another world. It's like the meta universe.
Have you seen the thing where like they ask kids now like how to answer a phone? So like obviously we'd go at that,
Aye.
and they go,
"Oh, do
as
they?"
if they're like holding the phone up like an iPhone. And you're like, that's so weird.
It's funny, isn't it? That's just what folk are.
Same with like taking a picture. Like we'd all go as if it's like a digital, an old
camera.
They go as if they're just holding their phone.
Oh man, I've not even thought about that.
It's so weird.
That's funny, isn't it? This is a good one, man. What would your perfect day look like and why?
Oh, this is a good question. I like this one. I think my perfect day would be getting up, just going for a walk somewhere with Amy, my girlfriend.
Plugging that in.
Yeah, shout out. Doing that and then going to the gym, getting a nice workout in, coming home, making some nice food, whatever that might be. Maybe even going out for something to eat as well. To be honest, just spending time with people that I really value their time and value being with more than anything else.
Mm-hmm.
And then doing the things that I like. So I'd be going to the gym, going for a sauna, going out for something to eat, going for a nice walk with a coffee. And it has to be a sunny day as well.
Mm-hmm. I've got mine conjured up, man. I'm working on it. Like, I genuinely want my life to just look like this. And I'm like wow, I'm going to do that every day. And it's like, again, see, to be honest, right now, I do live a day that I'm like, I'm very content with, like in the sense of that. And it's not that I'm saying that I just want this and that's it, but I want to live somewhere in a hot climate where I wake up every day and I'm near the sea, and I wake up nice and early, man, and I get a wee walk in to like a gym. I'd like to be at a gym that's just like cracking environment, man, a space where it's like just have these folk are chatting to each other, folk are in there training hard, do like some sort of big workout afterwards, head for a bite to eat in a beautiful place, outside we got a brunch, whaley, and then go and chill somewhere, chat with good people and like read a good book, just sat on the beach or something, man. And actually, like, I know this is like hypothetical, right? But then actually do a bit of work. Like, do like a bit of work, like work with my team, go and have a team meeting, go and do something that's like go and plan something big, or do like, do you know what I mean? Like,
yeah, I was going to add a bit onto mine. I want to end each day with the sense of fulfillment of having done good work, whatever that might be, helping a client with a breakthrough, whatever it is. Yeah, I want to end that day with that sense of fulfillment from what I've done. Yeah,
and I was thinking about that, man. It's like, and how can you engineer your life to fucking live like that, man? Because why not? Do you know what I mean? Why not do that? And I wake up every day, I walk a couple of miles, I train really hard in the morning, I don't look at my phone for the first part of the day, I have good conversation with Ellie, I do that, I get to, do you know what I mean? But it's like, there's so many elements out there, but I walk through fucking Pennyburn on the way to the gym, man, and I walk like, I'm like, I need to change this, man. Do you know what I mean? I need to do the thing, more of the things that I want to do. Do you know what I mean? Like, I need to engineer it better. That's what I'm working on.
It comes back to what we were saying earlier on about mortality and life being short. You want to do the things that you want to do in that short space of time that you've got.
I know. I think it's that full thing. It's that eudaimonic and mnemonic happiness in it. Like, eudaimonic's like the doing the things you don't want to do. I mean, but they give you a lot of happiness as well. And it's like doing a hard workout, getting up early, going to bed early, walking, moving, training, going for a cold plunge, having a cold shower. Gives you deep levels of fulfillment, whereas loads of folk won't get that because they'll be like, why would you do that? Because they're not focusing on the deeper level of fulfillment it gives you, they're just focusing on the surface level, because they're like, nah man, I just like fucking, like, I love having a fucking multi-bag of Doritos every single night, I love watching Netflix till 1 a.m, I love sitting on my phone when I go in my bed. So no, you don't love that. You don't love that, because look in the fucking mirror. Are you happy with the way that you're living right now? Are you happy with what that's bringing to you? Are you happy with how you're actually feeling when you're not doing those things? And it's like you're just looking for external things to bring you. Like, it's not saying that I don't do those things, but it's like if you microdose them, they're better rather than fucking smothering yourself with them, man. Because when you smother yourself with that short-term happiness, you end up fucked. Big time, man. You end up like not in a good spot, out of shape, tired, man. Looking at yourself going, what the fuck am I doing? Like, but then you tell yourself this story and then you see someone else doing the thing that you know you should be doing and it offends you. Do you know what I mean? And then you say things like, why would you do that? Do you know what I mean? It's like, you don't get it. You know what I mean? Don't understand. This is a really, really good question, mate. What are your 3 favourite mindset hacks for getting shit done when you don't want to?
First one is... this is a good ones.
What do you genuinely do? And see, like, when you get shit done, man, and you're like, and you don't want to do it, man, and you're like, what is the frames going through your mind when you do it? Because obviously someone that's achieving a lot, doing things, they all have them. And they might not think they do, but they do, because they have these, they bypass these things that most folk can't. So what is it they do?
I think one of them's just like, it's nothing fancy. It's just like, you just need to fucking do it.
Aye.
Just stop being a dick and do it.
Aye.
More than it, I think that's probably the main one. And it's like, right, I think that's it. I don't really have 3. It's just, stop moaning, stop being a dick, stop being a pussy.
Be so hard on yourself. I'm joking.
Just do it, what you need to do. You know you need to do it. You're just putting it off.
Yeah. I always think about, like, the thing I think about is, I think about, like, I use the identity of, like, who I am and what I do now, and I'm like, what if my clients were watching? I'm like, what would they think? Like, I genuinely think about that all the time. It's not in the way where I'm like, I genuinely, like, I do care about that, but, like, I mean, in, like, how can I shape myself? And, like, if I live like that, then I'll be able to essentially be the person that I want to be and build the business and the life that I want to live that's going to allow me to do the things I want if I behave like that person. So I've got this, like, idea of what this person does.
Yeah.
So then I'm like, are you behaving like him right now? And I'm like, no. I'm like, cool, do it then.
You've got to think about your future self and, like, who they are, and like, okay, is what I'm doing now does that align with that? Does that get me closer to that?
Another really good one I use is pain comes in waves. And this is something that I think about all the time. I'll explain a little bit deeper. Like, so if you're doing, like, a really hard workout, a really hard challenge, which is to get shit done, and I'm doing it, this obviously comes down to, like, your level of fitness and stuff as well. But when I was doing, like, an endurance run or a endurance cycle, or I'm doing an event, or I'm doing, like, when we're doing High Rocks the other week, came off of, like, the burpee broad jumps, and we were really going for it, and we were running pretty fast, and I was, like, dying. Like, actually, like, insides felt like they were going to come out, man, and I was like, ugh. And we were running at 420 kilometers, man, so we're still moving decent pace and stuff like that, man. And I was, like, going round, and I was just like, it'll go away, it'll go away, it'll go away, it'll go away, it'll pass. And it did. It just passed. It lasted for about 500 meters. But it's like, you just need to remind yourself that, like, and it was still uncomfortable after that. It didn't, like, go away completely, but the level of, like discomfort I was feeling, it was the same when I would go in the pool when I was training for the Keltman or the Ironman, or when I was teaching myself to swim for the first Ironman and stuff like that. And I was just like, the warm-up was the hardest part, mate. The warm-up was hands down, like, it was, I just couldn't, like, because I couldn't get into flow. But I'd always remember that once I'd been swimming for between 16 to 20 lengths, it would be all good. Like, it was always that sweet spot, mate. See, once you hit 16 to 20 lengths, mate, you just, like, kind of found this flow. It's weird, but it takes you, see, in, like, a swim, it takes some, like, to do that, it took me at the time, like, 8 to 11 minutes, which is quite a long time to be quite uncomfortable in water with your head in the water when you can't swim. So I was like, that was something that I really learned as well. So, like, I really apply them to, like, things that I do, especially if I'm going through, like, hardship, or, like, maybe I'm going through a spell, my mental health's not feeling great, or I'm going through a point where, like, I don't know, I'm just not feeling that good. I always just think it'll go away, it'll pass.
Yeah,
like, it'll pass. And I think a lot of people, when they go to times like this, they forget that. They think that's it, and they think that the way that they are is, like, that's it, and it's like, it's not. Like, it'll pass.
When I'm feeling like that, like, that's one of the things I probably tell myself as well. Like, it'll be okay, everything will work out, and then it's, right, okay, what's the one thing that you can do right now that's going to just move it a little bit? Because even though it sucks, you can still do something.
Yeah.
So what's that one wee thing I can do just to move it that 1%?
Yeah. And another really good one that's worked for me is like, what's the truth in it? Another really good one. It's a really good mindset hack. So let's say, for example, you've been presented with a challenging situation that's kind of out with your control. You've maybe not had a huge part to play in why it happened, and you start kind of going into the blame game, why it's unfair, why it shouldn't have happened, why it was their fault. And it's like, well, do you know what? The best thing that you can actually do right now is, instead of looking, because chances are that's not going to resolve it, is looking at the part that you can resolve, no matter how small it is, and deal with it. Because that's the best thing that you can do. Because like, by actually not doing that, you're in a state of denial. And I actually spoke about this recently. People think denial is like me going, Josh, you're an alcoholic. And you go, Kristian, no, I'm not. And then you're out with a bottle of booze, right? Folk think that's like the classic version of what denial is. Denial is like where you're not accepting something. Like, you're just not accepting it. It doesn't, like, it's like you're kind of like, you're maybe like going for it, that you're constantly moaning about the weather. It's like, and every day you moan about the weather, it's like, mate, you live in Scotland. Stop being in denial. That's denial. Do you know what I mean? Like, that's before, because it's so subtle. Whereas they want denial to be this like really big, grand thing. So like, for me, it's like the quickest way to get out of a state of denial is by looking for the truth in the part that you played in something, even if it wasn't your fault. It gives you freedom. It almost kind of gives you go like, cool, yeah, I'll go and fix that. And it just made, and I've applied that to my coaching business, and like, I'm just cool, man. Like, I'm like, I feel really the most stable I've ever felt in it. Like, I feel so stable in it. I feel like there's so, like, anyone will know it's a business owner, it's quite an unstable thing, and I feel so stable because I've been thinking like that. Do you know what I mean? Like, it's a really good way to think. It's like, cool, I'll go and fix that. What was my part in it? And I think that's a really, really good mindset hack for anyone to apply to anything they do, and it'll give you so much freedom. Massively.
Love it.
Any more, mate? I've got one more each.
Yeah, I've got one more. So I don't want to ruin the vlog for High Rocks, but what was your biggest lesson from High Rocks Milan?
What was my biggest lesson? That I just need to continue to put myself in situations that make me feel like they pull my pants down.
Nice.
Yep.
Get exposed.
Yeah, that's what I need to feel like. And I do, and I don't like. I've normalised so many things now that, like, Josh even made a really good point today. That's like, he's like, I was like, are you looking forward to the podcast today? He's like, I'm not nervous this time. I was like, good. And like, I don't get, you get a wee flutter and stuff like that when you speak and stuff, but I'm like, I don't get nervous at certain things now. Doesn't mean that just because I'm doing certain things means it's all right. I need to go and look for other things that are going to make me feel nervous.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean? I need to go and find things that are like, see, if you don't get nervous at something, go and find something that makes you nervous. Like,
just as well, the last time we came on the podcast, I think I had 2 coffees beforehand. So I was like buzzing, and then I think I hit
anxiety.
That anxiety, I was like, oh my God, I'm shitting myself here.
I know what's going on. No, like, I would say definitely that, mate. Definitely that.
Nice.
This is a really good question. It's pretty open. What's your thoughts on how life's going to look in the next 5 years?
Oh, that's weird. I had some written down here about life in the next 5 years.
Did you?
But I didn't want to ask it.
He's making it up.
No, look.
He's making it up. I'm joking.
Life in the next 5 years? I don't know. Good question. I think, to be honest, definitely married, possibly with a child or more. Depends what happens. We'll see.
Mm-hmm.
I definitely want to have a family. I think it'll be quite cool, like, just having your own wee version of you.
A wee guy that loves wrestling.
Wee guy that loves wrestling. Or a wee girl that loves wrestling.
Yeah.
Depends.
Yeah.
But yeah, something like that. Still just fucking sending it, doing mad shit, whatever that might be, whether it's running marathons. Still won't be running marathons, obviously. I'd like to bring my time down on the marathon, because I know I'm way faster than the one I've set.
Yeah.
Definitely on that. I'd also like to do like a team event.
Yeah.
With like me and someone else. Obviously I'm doing High Rocks doubles with Kieran, but I'd like to do like a multi-day team event.
Yeah.
Something that's really fucking hard.
Yeah.
And that will really push us.
Yeah.
And it requires a lot effort, organisation,
Yep.
like a big thing, like a really big thing.
Yeah, I know. Me and Lewis always chat about. There's a guy called Bedros Keuilian.
Yeah,
You know,
doing the project.
we keep talking about it. It's like 10 grand for a weekend
Is
in
it
America.
Do you not do some of the kind of Navy SEALs
Yeah, it
thing
takes you
with like, the
through-
boats and all that?
Yeah,
Thing you
I
have to
just-
go.
I can imagine just me and Lewis just like in this like just surrounded by like Americans that just like all like thinking they're like going to war. Like, who's gonna carry the boats? Like,
What the fuck
I
are you
know.
on?
So I just when I think about doing like I'm gonna do something like that in the next year. I think it's pure. It'll be hard, but I think it's just pure funny as well, man. I just want to be in more positions like that. I think it's
Yeah.
funny. But yeah, mate. No, I love that, man. It's hard. It's like, see, sometimes when you ask for that, it's quite a big thing. Like, you know, some folk are like, they're clear and concise in what that is. What's your thoughts on how life's going to look in the next 5 years? So for me, like the way I'm answering this is different. You've kind of interpreted the question as like your life. I've interpreted it as what life would look like.
Ah,
Yeah.
interesting.
So I kind of took it as like, what do I think life's going to look like in the next 5 years?
Here comes the AI rabbit hole.
Yes. So I think even more people are going to be even more detached. I think a lot of people are going to, I think there's going to be like a big shift in like, I don't think we've got the infrastructure here for there to be like a full shift and like folk are going to mass lose their jobs imminently or anything like that. I did think that for a while, but like, I don't know, I feel like there's going to be like a big shift in like, I feel like folk are going to lose a lot of core skills. I feel like I looked about the other day when I was out walking in the town, man, and everybody was just glued to their phone and loads of folk were overweight. And I was like, you ever seen that picture of folk like the fat person chained to the phone or lying in the back? Like, I was like, we're actually there now.
It's that Disney film Wall-E.
Yeah.
And the
Like,
guy's
that's
sitting
actually,
in the chair.
I was in Costa the other day and I was just looking about and I was just like, oh fuck, it's happened. It's actually happened. So I think like we're going to see like a lot of positives, but I think like the actual standard is going to just keep reducing. And I think right now, like if you're really not showing up for your health and you're really not safeguarding your inputs, man, you could be in a shitty spot. Not just physically, man. I'm not talking about physically here. I'm talking about mentally. I think it's really important now to really have, like, you could get away for a long period of time. You just look at certain countries, like you go back, I don't know, 40, 50 years ago, obesity wasn't really a problem. Obviously in America and stuff it was raising there, but like certain countries it wasn't, and folk were a lot more active. I think now just with the way that we are going, we've created this like world that's so connected that it's so detrimental to folk, and I think we're on like a really fast path to like a really, really bad state of affairs with like folks' physical and mental health.
There's also the introduction of like ultra processed foods that we all probably eat anyway.
Me and Josh were talking about bread before this.
Aye.
I know.
White toasty bread.
I keep fucking buying it and making toast at night, man. It's so good. And I'm like, I know it's like full of crap, man. It's made out of like Asda bags,
like-
but it's good.
Genetically modified meat and stuff like that, and it's meat alternatives, and you're like, that's just processed
I know.
like stuff.
I know, it's mental, innit? What, like fake? No, it's funny. Ailey's dad gets raging at fake meat. He's absolutely raging at fake meat. He's like, why you a vegetarian or a vegan if you're still eating fake meat? Do you know what I mean? It's funny. It's funny. It's a good point. It's a very
That's a
valid
good point.
So yeah, no, the next 5 years for me, for my life, we were speaking about it this morning. Like, I just want to fucking help. I want to build a good wee team, man, and really help. I want to just continue to build ready for anything. I want to run more retreats. I want to just do cool shit, man. Just live a good life, man. I want to kind of live like an athlete, man. I want to just really take high rocks a lot more seriously. I want to get really good at that. Really, really good at it. Like, really, really good at it. Yeah, like that's it. Then just keep going. See, I want to have kids, but then it keeps not being on my radar. Like, it's not on, I do, but then I'm like, but when? Is there a right time? I don't know.
I don't think there is a right time.
I know.
I don't think. And everyone, I think people say that there's a right time and you should do it then, and how you going to, but people have kids and they make it work.
I know. I want to be one of those folk that are in like Bali with their kids in like a scooter, man, and they just like tour about and they're
Sitting in the front
Aye.
basket.
I know. I just wouldn't even educate them. I'd just make them listen to my podcast. Get one of them. By that time, there'll be fucking hundreds of them. So that's where they can get their education from. Just my podcast. Get a workout in with them, man. Just, yeah, man. Like, that's my plans.
Bench press in the 20s before the age of 6.
Yeah. Anyway, man, cheers for a good chat, mate.
Thank you.
Yeah, it was good, man. It's good.
Fun.
Enjoyed it. But thank you very much for everyone for tuning in. If you obviously enjoyed the episode, please drop us a message. Me, KDH.ready for anything on Instagram, or Josh.ready for anything on Instagram. And share it to your stories, please, because and tag us in it, because it's the best way to get it out there. And if you watched it on YouTube, I hope you enjoyed seeing our faces. Anyway, see you later. Bye.